Hi there, my name's Alistair Kent and I look after public relations for SAP Concur here in the UK. Today we're going to be learning about how we continuously engage with our customers after they've purchased a solution from us, but also what are some of the key learnings that we want them to take away. I'm really lucky to have Natalie Gwilt with me here today, who's the expert on this subject. Can you give us a bit of an overview about yourself, how long you've been at Concur and what you do here?
Yes. So I'm Head of Customer Success here in EMEA for SAP Concur. I've been with Concur now for 13 years, so a bit of a veteran. I haven't been, not the longest serving employee, but 13 years is a significant amount of time. And in that time, I've done a number of different roles within this area. So I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about all things customer today.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, so you live and breathe customers. So over those 13 years, what's the main part of your role?
So my main role has been as a leader for the last 9 or 10 years, running and growing with our business a customer success function. So we started with 3 customer success managers about 9 years ago in our SMB world. And now we're around about 15, 18 people now in that business. So
it's growing well.
It's grown continuously, and I'm immensely proud of everybody that has worked in and has been part of our customer success organisation during this time.
Brilliant. I know we could talk about this subject all day, and there's so much, but we've only got 10, 15 minutes to go through. Can you give a quick overview of what happens when a new customer gets up and running with us?
Yeah, it's a really critical time, Alistair, when a customer's first introduced to us, and we want to make that a great experience. And in the best process that we put the customers through is one that we've been honing and working on for a good number of years now. So typically, customer success do not become involved in the early stages of that customer life cycle because they are talking to our activation, our service delivery partners, whose role it is to make sure they get up and running in whatever methodology they choose to implement. So if it's a really small customer and they're really independent, they could do quite a lot of that activation themselves, switch things on. Or if it's a larger organisation with maybe a more complex global deployment, and then we have a lot of, it's a much bigger handheld situation where the customers deploy over sort of a longer period of time. All around that time, the customer success manager is assigned and the customer knows who they are, but they don't interfere with that process because it's like too many cooks. But once the customer's site is live and they're able to start using the platform and they're looking at delivering that to their end users, they are then able to talk to customer success. Okay, we'll reintroduce ourselves and we go through what we call the onboarding process. This is a really critical process in the evolution of our customers in getting up and running and deploying this to their end users, their customers at the end of the day. And it's a transitionary process. You don't stay in onboarding forever, but it's a critical part of the success for our customers. And our primary focus is making sure they are successful. And we're not talking to them about other solutions and services or strategic conversations, but it takes a special type of skill from that team to be able to get the customers up and running and ready to go on then to what we call our client development team, which is where we have a more strategic relationship with customers and talk more about the future and what's next and what's happening in their business and how we can support them during their own journey.
Yeah, because it looks at what that customer's goals and business objectives are.
Exactly,
and how we as a business, in the background, can support that customer.
Absolutely. And those goals and objectives, we try and understand what they are at the very beginning of the customer's journey. And we keep them in mind during that onboarding process. But ultimately, our aim is to get you, the customer, into the client development space where you're talking to your customer success manager and your client sales executive to sort of like grow and further establish what we can do to help on your journey.
Yeah. So on that journey itself, in your experience, what are the top 3 benefits customers don't take advantage of from Concur, do you reckon?
In those early days when they're first, so it's very, very common. So if you're looking at this and thinking, I haven't done that, is that you're so busy focused on deploying and getting to your end users, quite often you forget what the ultimate goals were. And it takes some time before you're ready to start reporting on some of the activities, the cost savings, the suppliers that you're using, and taking the benefits out of the platform to be able to deliver back to the business to give you that visibility. And I think a lot of organisations forget. They don't forget, but it's like, oh, it's not important because we're so busy deploying.
Yeah.
And
Everyone's running at a million miles an hour.
Yes, the
It's
reporting.
Like to take stock, because there's obviously we've known each other for quite a while, and you mentioned to me quite a few times around business reviews.
Yes.
And how important they are. But why should a customer, or why do you care about business reviews?
Yes. Yeah. A business review, or sometimes we'll call them a solution review, or just a day-to-day meeting with a customer to talk about the strategy within their business. So in the early days, it is very much about maybe teaching you about some of the metrics, how you can get information out of the system. And but we want to understand how we can partner with the customers moving forward. And it's not just about travel and expense or invoice. It's about what's happening in their business, because we want to attune to what they are doing and to be able to think, okay, so you've got a problem you need to solve. How can we help you? Do we have a partner? Do we have another solution? Or is it just good for us to know that this is the challenge at the moment, and we'll just take a back seat, you're tied up with other stuff, and we will just work with you the best way forward. And the business review, as we coin it, is something that we do on a regular basis, but also to what the customer wants. So some customers have them quarterly, some customers once a year, and some, every 6 months or so.
But it's up to the customer, but they are so important to actually, as I said, to take stock of what's going on within their own business, and how they can make more advantage or take more advantage of the solutions.
No, absolutely. So, we come armed with, sometimes we'll come statistics, thought leadership, what's going on in the marketplace, because if you're working in a certain industry, and as we've just been, we talk about AI a lot. AI, we're at a really exciting point, I think, in the world, and also within Concur with our technology and the way we're incorporating AI into all of our solutions, even more than they have been before, when that's been going on for the last 10 years.
I was going to mention that. We've been using it for a long time.
I think so. So our Expensit platform was over 10 years ago was launched, and I was here when it happened, and we were using machine learning in there, and I have to say, we know it's much better now than it used to be in the early days, but we were harnessing technology.
Going back to those business reviews, do you have any examples of some interesting findings, obviously anonymously, but to bring it to life for people?
Yes. So interesting, it's always about the data. Okay, it's about digging into the data, understanding where spend is happening, being able to control spend without and within policy, and also about making sure that you keep the policy. Sorry, I just mentioned the policy. That is something that organisations need to keep up to date, because our world is changing around us, organisations change. So I think one of the things that often comes out is the fact that organisations are so busy. Our finance partners are just always run ragged. We know that they're ultra busy. The policy quite often gets left behind. So that is one of the things that can quite frequently happen.
Yeah, because the finance team, there's always a milestone to hit, or they're reporting on this, but it's to take stock.
Yeah, and the business review sort of brings it back front and central. It's not that we want to hold you accountable to your business imperatives, but it helps, by having the business review, it helps remind customers that, look, remember, this is what you were trying to achieve. How are you getting on with that? What can we do to help make that happen as lightly and easily as possible?
Yeah, just to have that conversation, to have the time to think in a bit more deeper and meaningful way. Yeah. Brilliant. So when a customer's been with us for a while, say 2, 3, maybe 4 years, what are the most important things that they need to be thinking about? Not just when they've started, but after they've been using our solution for a while. Yeah,
I would say actually that it's not just something that's limited to the first 2 or 3 years, because ultimately we're a SaaS platform, and every month we release features, fixes, and new technology. And it's very easy to forget in the day-to-day busyness in the finance leader's life and the finance team's life that other things are happening around them. It's very easy for the platform to become out of date and not using the latest features and functionality. So it's really important that they stay in touch with that. And there are means and ways to do that. It is a self-service type of process, but our customer success managers can help remind as part of the business review sometimes to do that. And the other thing also ties back to what I said earlier on about policy and procedures, is that organisations are evolving, our technology is evolving, and what you implemented and set in place maybe 2 or 3 years ago might not be working quite as well within your own organisation. So it's about, you might say, who are we, Concur, advising our customers what to do within their business? But it's about making sure that you keep your processes internally and you're constantly thinking about your policy, your processes, and making sure that you are using the tool to the best of its advantage.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's not that we're telling customers what to do. It's just to take a step back and think about how they are using things. And it might not be our solution as well. They can have a conversation about it overall.
Yes. Absolutely. And also not to be scared of talking to us and talking to our other customers as well. Coming to events that we provide a platform to talk to other customers, networking, because I think that learning from each other is as important as just what's going on in the sort of like the bubble of the environment that you work in at any given time.
Brilliant. I think that's a great one to end on, Natalie. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everyone found that useful.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.